I sat at Thanksgiving dinner while my brother, Kyle, showed off photos of his new house. The whole family crowded around his phone, pointing at the granite countertops. When someone asked where I lived, I mentioned my downtown apartment. Kyle laughed loud enough for everyone to hear. "You're still renting at 34? That's pathetic, Emma. When are you going to grow up?" My parents nodded. My aunt smirked. 23 people watched me sit there in silence. I didn't argue. I just smiled and cut my turkey. What none of them knew was that I owned 47 buildings across 3 states. That night, I decided it was time they found out exactly who they'd been looking down on. After dinner, I locked myself in the bathroom and pulled out my phone. I opened the app I checked every morning. Page after page of properties scrolled past. Office buildings downtown, apartment buildings near the college, shopping centers in the suburbs. The number at the bottom made my chest tight. $750 million. I'd built this starting at 22 with a single house. For 12 years, I'd kept it quiet. My family thought I worked some boring office job. They had no idea I managed one of the biggest private real estate portfolios in the area. Kyle's voice played in my head. Pathetic. I looked at myself in the mirror, then walked back to the dining room with my mind made up. The next morning, my phone blew up with notifications. The family group chat had 53 messages. Kyle had written about wanting to help me get my life together. He offered to connect me with his real estate agent. My aunt replied with crying laughing emojis. My mom texted, "Honey, Kyle really cares about you. Maybe you should listen." My dad added, "Your brother worked hard. There's no shame in learning from him." I read every message twice. Then I took screenshots of all of them and saved them in a folder labeled Evidence. I wasn't angry anymore. I was planning. If they wanted to treat me like I was clueless, I'd let them, for now. Kyle called 2 days later and insisted we meet for coffee. He showed up with a folder full of printed papers. For 90 minutes, he talked about debt and closing costs. He circled numbers like he was teaching a child to add. "I'm not trying to embarrass you," he said, doing exactly that. "But if you're struggling with money, you can tell me." I nodded and asked questions I already knew the answers to. I let him feel like the expert. When he finished, I thanked him. Then I said something that made him pause. "I want to show you something next month. Can you meet me downtown?" He agreed right away, probably thinking I'd found some sad apartment to look at. I smiled the whole drive home. The following week, I met Kyle's wife, Vanessa, for lunch. She was worse than my brother. She worked as a lawyer and never let anyone forget it. She talked about the vacation house they were buying in Aspen. "It's important to spread out your investments," she said. "Maybe one day you'll understand real wealth." I said nice things about their success. Vanessa offered to look at my finances for free as a family favor. I told her I was working on something but didn't give details. Her eyes got soft with pity. I wanted to laugh. Her handbag cost $8,000. I'd made that much in rent money before breakfast, but I just smiled and let her think whatever she wanted. 2 weeks later, my parents invited me to brunch, just the 3 of us. My mom started with worries about my future. Then my dad pulled out his checkbook. "We want to help you with a down payment," he said, $50,000, "but you need to take this seriously. You're not getting any younger." I stared at that check. They'd clearly been talking to Kyle about me. They listed all my problems. No house, no husband, no plan. I was the family disappointment. I could have told them the truth right then. Instead, I folded the check and put it in my purse. "Thank you," I said quietly. "This means everything." My mom cried. I felt sick, but I didn't stop the plan. That afternoon, I saw Kyle's Facebook post about helping family members make better money choices. He didn't say my name, but everyone knew. The post had 247 likes. People commented, "You're such a good brother." Someone tagged me. My face got hot reading through them. This wasn't just family gossip anymore. Kyle had made me a public example of failure. I took a screenshot and added it to my folder. Then I did something surprising. I liked his post and commented, "So grateful for you, learning so much." The family probably thought I was being humble. Really, I was just adding more fuel to the fire I was about to start. My college friend Derek called after seeing Kyle's post. He was an investment banker in Manhattan and knew the truth about my business. We met for drinks. "You're still hiding it? Emma, you own half the buildings downtown. Why?" I explained I valued my privacy. Derek got serious. "You know your brother's in trouble, right?" He showed me money data. Kyle's house was bought with a mortgage that could go up any time. He'd maxed out 2 home loans just to cover the down payment. 1 rate increase and he'd be underwater. I stared at the numbers. My reveal was going to be even better than planned. I spent the next week writing my invitation. "Dear family," it started. "Thank you for all your support and advice. I've made some big decisions about my future and I want to share them with you. Please join me for brunch next Sunday at 11 at the Sterling Room downtown. My treat." I sent it to 37 people. Within an hour, the family chat buzzed with guesses. They thought I was announcing I'd bought an apartment. Kyle texted, "Proud of you, sis." My mom called to say how happy she was. Everyone said they'd be there. What they didn't know was the Sterling Room was the private event space on the top floor of the luxury building I owned, my home. Sunday morning came cold and clear. I got ready carefully. Navy suit, professional hair and makeup. I wanted to look like someone who belonged in business meetings. I got to the building lobby early and waited. My family started showing up at 10:45. Kyle came in first, looking around at the marble floors and modern art. "This place is expensive. Must have cost a fortune to rent." Everyone laughed nervously. I just smiled. "Follow me." I led them to the private elevator and swiped my keycard. The doors opened. I pressed 40. Kyle's smile started to fade. "Where exactly are we going?" His voice had an edge now. I didn't answer. I just watched the numbers climb. The elevator opened right into my penthouse, 6,000 square feet with huge windows showing the entire city. My family stepped out slowly, looking around like they'd entered another world. Real paintings on the walls, custom marble kitchen, a floating staircase to upper floors. Nobody spoke for 30 seconds. Finally, Kyle found his voice. "You live here? How are you paying for this?" I walked to the dining room and started pouring champagne. My hands were steady. "I don't rent this, Kyle. I own it. I own the entire building, all 42 floors." My mother dropped her purse. "I also own the building next door, and 4 others in this neighborhood. Should we sit? Brunch is ready." Nobody moved. They just stared. I pulled up the presentation I'd made. It showed on the large screen. The first slide had my name, real estate holdings and investment portfolio. The second slide was a map covered in pins, each marking a property I owned. Office buildings downtown, apartment buildings near the college, shopping centers in the suburbs. The number at the bottom made my chest tight, $750 million. I'd built this starting at 22 with a single house. For 12 years, I'd kept it quiet. My family thought I worked some boring office job. They had no idea I managed one of the biggest private real estate portfolios in the area. Kyle's voice played in my head. Pathetic. I looked at myself in the mirror, then walked back to the dining room with my mind made up. Kyle stood up so fast his chair fell over. "You've been lying to us for years." I stayed seated. "I didn't lie, Kyle. I kept my business private. You assumed I was failing." Vanessa jumped in. "This is a betrayal. Family doesn't keep secrets like this." I laughed. "Betrayal? You called me pathetic in front of 23 people. You posted about my poor choices on Facebook where 247 people liked it. You offered me pity money, and I'm the one who betrayed you?" The room went silent. My dad tried to speak. "Emma, we were just trying to help." I cut him off. "No, you were trying to fix me because I didn't look successful the way you wanted. There's a difference." Nobody had an answer. I looked at Kyle. "Remember my friend Derek, the investment banker?" Kyle nodded nervously. "He told me about your house. You have a mortgage that could go up any time, right? And 2 home loans?" Kyle's face went white. "How do you know that? That's private." I shrugged. "You made my finances public. Derek says you're in over your head. If rates go up, you could lose everything." Vanessa grabbed Kyle's arm. "She's lying." But Kyle's face told a different story. It was all true. I leaned forward. "I'm not trying to embarrass you, Kyle. I'm here to show you what happens when you judge people without knowing the whole story. You assumed I was failing because it made you feel better. That was your mistake." I turned to my parents. My voice came out softer, but the hurt was there. "You gave me a $50,000 check last week." I pulled the uncashed check from my purse and set it on the table. "I don't need your money. I never did. What I needed was for you to respect me and trust that I knew what I was doing." My mom cried. "Emma, we didn't know. We were worried. Because you didn't ask." My voice cracked. "For 12 years, you could have asked about my work, about my goals. Instead, you made assumptions. You decided I was the failure and Kyle was the success. You chose his version because it was easier." My dad stared at his hands. He looked smaller suddenly. The silence felt heavy. My Aunt Patricia cleared her throat. "I need to say something." I knew. Everyone turned. 3 years ago, I went to a real estate conference. You were there, Emma. You were a speaker. I looked you up afterward. I knew you were successful. I felt punched in the stomach. You knew? And you watched Kyle embarrass me? Patricia nodded, tears running down her face. I was jealous. I thought you were stuck up for keeping it secret. I thought watching Kyle lecture you was what you deserved.